What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Junior Mafia coming back to you with another video. So I just finished watching Monday Night Raw, and this was a solid show. There was some good things that happened on here that I really enjoyed, especially towards the end of the show where we had the segment with Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and whatnot that I definitely want to talk about as I get through the video. But to just do like a little quick rundown and stuff like that. We had CM Punk to kick off the show, and he pretty much addressing about getting a title opportunity, at SummerSlam and looking to reclaim WWE Gold for the first time since I think 2012. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. And pretty much was saying that how he's looking to go in there and handle business against Gunther and win the championship. So as that's happening, Gunther comes out, and as he comes out and he's trying to speak and all that stuff, the crowd was not letting him speak at all. They just kept getting booed a whole lot, like having Dominic nuclear heat, so to speak. So he keep getting booed constantly and all that, and in typical Gunther fashion, he pretty much be trying to manipulate you, get in your head, all that stuff. And he bringing up about CM Punk and how him coming back to WWE was because of the fans, chanting his name for so long and stuff like that, and just pretty much giving him credit from that point and calling him a good wrestler and stuff. Even bringing up about how both of them have like egos and all that, but in just in different ways. Punk got his ego when it comes down to, with the fans and getting what he wants type shit. Whereas for Gunther, his ego leads him to winning titles and stuff like that. And, as he's saying that, he just letting it be known, like, none of that matters. But when the bell ring, I'm pretty much going to destroy you, push you around, maul you, choke you out, and all that, and pretty much going to leave you in the middle of the ring, looking at the lights, and pretty much like show that he's not the best in the world, so to speak. So that was typical Gunther fashion. And then before he left out, saying that there's one thing you can hold on to, and that's these degenerate fans, who been chanting your name constantly. You can continue to have that. So it was a very good segment. I definitely enjoyed it, and I know their match is going to be like fucking good. It's just, it all depends on what happens with Seth Rollins' injury, to where things can actually change for the better. And even though that they he even had a conversation with, I forgot what show he was on, where he addressed the his whole knee injury and stuff like shit like that and whatnot, and said that he don't know when he'll return. But you see throughout the show how much they kept mentioning Seth Rollins a whole lot too. So if it was legit and everything, they wouldn't do this constantly. So I think we're going to get something at SummerSlam. I just don't know, but the way they've been doing things lately and name dropping him, it could be a sign. So it could be a situation where Punk do beat Gunther and all that, and right when he's celebrating, we probably don't get no music. It'd just be an element of surprise. Seth come, attacks Punk, catches in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and then boom, he wins the title over Punk. It could potentially happen, so we'll see how things turns out. I just wanted to bring that up because they just kept name dropping him consistently and all that stuff. I love the backstage segment we had, with Naomi and Stephanie Valkyria, and Naomi, playing mind games and all that, and being the instigator, telling Stephanie Valkyria that when it came down to her and Io and stuff like that, like Io pretty much had your number, so to speak, and it was. You had a tough time with her. So, of course, Naomi playing the mind games and all that too. That kind of struck the nerve onto Stephanie Valkyria. And she approached Io Sky and all that too, and they had a back and forth and saying they didn't have a match later on tonight, and we was getting that. So I'll talk about that later on. Then we had a segment with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and Lyra Valkyria, she's pissed off because apparently Bayley has set up a tag team championship match with those two taking on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, and Lyra not feeling that whatsoever, and just trying to really get an explanation of why would Bayley set the match up in the first place and all that. And Bayley's talking about, I'm all about winning, and I felt like we're a winning team, and I felt like we put a difference aside to get the titles. It would be good for both of us. So as much as she wasn't feeling it and all that stuff, she went along with it. They ended up having a match and all that, and solid match. And it was times where you actually thought that, oh wow, like are they gonna really pull the trigger, so to speak? But we ended up getting interference from Becky Lynch. And, she played a focal point of taking out, I think it was Lyra. But left Bayley vulnerable. Then, Dominic being ringside and stuff like that. It was going to be some shenanigans with him and all. But, of course, it was interference. And I believe Raquel was the one to, I think, pin Bayley for the 1, the 2, and the 3. And they retained their titles and all that. So there was that, but it's something tells me, especially before the match. Excuse me, I know I'm going off topic a bit, but before they match and all that stuff, they was a segment with Becky Lynch, and she was out there, and she was cutting her promos and pretty much trashing the city and all that too, wherever she was at. It was in Houston. Hey, shout out to Houston as well. God was fucking fantastic tonight. Shout out to my brother Ross from In the Clutch, who was actually there in attendance and all. It was very, very, very dope, for him to be there, courtesy of Mark Henry. So, that's what's up. I hope you enjoyed your first WWE live event, brother. I hope you did. But continuing on. So, we had Becky Lynch. She talking her shit as always too, and Lyra Valkyria comes out, and as she's speaking about the title, facing Becky Lynch for the title, Becky tells her like, here's my rules and all that, leading up to our match at SummerSlam, that if I beat you while I'm still champion, you will never get another title opportunity and all that, and Lyra accepted it, and she was saying, here's my rules too for him as well, that it's going to pretty much be a no disqualification match, and that it has to be a winner at the end of the day. So we had all that happen, and in typical Becky Lynch fashion, she gonna try to have Lyra shake her hand because she feel like, I've been disrespectful to her, blah, 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 blah. So as she extended her hand, and it looked like Lyra Valkyria would do the same, Becky, she gonna try to take advantage of that, but Lyra was a step ahead, hit her with a manhandle slam, and then once she's out the picture, in comes Bayley, and then that's when we had the match stuff. So there was that. But I truly believe Bayley gonna try to insert herself into this match, whether she's gonna take out Lyra to put herself in there, similar to what Becky Lynch did at WrestleMania when she pretty much took Bayley out the picture and tag team with Lyra and ended up winning the title that way. Can we get something like that? Who knows? But I will not rule that out, and all, especially with somebody like Bayley, you don't keep off of SummerSlam. So I think it is going to be something like that could either be a triple threat again, or a situation where Lyra is out the picture and you have Bayley come in as a replacement. So we'll see how that whole thing turns out. I did like about backstage with Dominic and Adam Pearce telling him, you need to go to the medical staff and make sure that you clear and all that stuff. And Dominic trying to avoid it so much, but you see AJ Styles, he's being there and pretty much like lurking wherever Dominic's at. So he was like a valet parker, so to speak. You know, when he started pulling into the arena, then it was a situation where you see AJ Styles and he pretty much mopping the floor area where Dominic was at, and there was another situation when he met him outside of in the ring and stuff like that. You know, to check on him because he was sidelined with the tag team match with Roxanne and Raquel, and he was also affiliated too. So all that's happening, and you know, we get to AJ and Anna Pierce because he pretty much told Dominic, like, this is the last time, I'm not going to say this again. And he like, if you do not show me that you medically clear and all that, I'm going to strip you of the Intercontinental Championship, and I ain't hearing nothing past that. So, you know, Dominic, you think he don't get age? They speaking to the doctor saying that, okay, like, what's the results? He's saying that, you know, Dominic is clear, and you know, like, everything's so positive, but they're gonna need more time and all. So, you know, they wasn't trying to hear it at all. Then AJ ended up getting attacked from behind. Of course, it was gonna be Dom, and tell him like, yeah, I'm clear to go, and we're gonna have this title match at SummerSlam. So I don't know why the fuck this dragged for so long, but it is what it is. I did like, you know, how AJ Styles kept creeping around anytime Dom was at to make sure that he was medically cleared so they could confirm their title match that he deserves. So, I can't wait for that match to happen too. I really hope and pray that AJ do win. I'm looking forward to that and all that. So we'll see how things turns out. And heading into the match, EO against Stephanie Valkyria, so good. That was so good. Definitely enjoyed it, you know, for what it was delivering to us. And you know it was going to be interference because of Chelsea Green and, you know, her little beef with I'm about to say Valkyria, with Stephanie Valkyria, and she ends up, of course, hitting Stephanie, and it was a disqualification, and you got her Secret Service of, I think, Alba Fire and Piper Nivens, and they on the attack and all that stuff. So, you know, as they trying to get Stephanie Valkyria out the way, you see EO, you know, does this drop kick to Chelsea and all that too, and they all start brawling, but, you know, Chelsea and them started getting up in hand. Then in comes Rhea Ripley, and she ends up cleaning the house and stuff like that. No, I'm sorry. Before that happened, as you see EO and Stephanie in the ring, Naomi comes from behind, attacked them and stuff like that. And, you know, they started getting up in hand and shit until Rhea Ripley came out and she started cleaning the house, got to, you know, Naomi and stuff. And, of course, she avoids getting out of the way. But Chelsea Green being in that ring, you know, got hit with a super kick from I think Stephanie. Yeah, it's a Guri from EO, and then a Riptide from Rhea Ripley. So I think that was a very cool moment. I definitely enjoyed it, but I mostly enjoyed the match. I think that was the best match of the night, in my opinion, and definitely enjoyed it for what it was worth. But we had to talk about the main event, and that is Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. So during the commercial break, Paul Heyman was coming out there with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So as it's happening, you know, Braun Breaker, he pretty much was saying that, not Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman, he pretty much saying that I have something I want to get off my chest and all that too before Roman Reigns comes out. And before he can say that, the OTC didn't waste no time, music hitting. You know when he pull up, he just got a different aura. And crowd is hyped for him and shit. So he gets into the ring. And as Paul Heyman trying to speak and all that stuff, crowd is booing, like booing loud. They saying, fuck you, Heyman. You suck. All that stuff. So it was very tough for Paul Heyman to say what he had to say. Then he brings up about, I'm pretty sure you know about, you know, Seth Rollins and his injury status, and he's going to be out for a very, very long time. And offers Roman Reigns an opportunity to join them. He said it's more different now. You could be the lead, and it would be more better now because you look at somebody like Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and stuff like that. Like, you can lead this group and all. They ain't gonna go on to say that despite everything, I still love you, my tribal chief, all that stuff. And Roman not buying into all that stuff. So he extended a mic. Roman takes that shit and pretty much was saying H-Town acknowledged me, and they was at an uproar. Like, it's just so different when you hear this man, you know, say that chant and stuff. And then he brings up about, like, are you serious right now? Yeah, he's talking about me being the lead of this group right here. He said that was like 5-6 years ago. I would have said, yeah, like, you know, being taking the words from the wise men and all that. But he said, I don't consider you a wise man no more. He said, I consider you a dumbass. And he said he a dumbass for everything that he did. And now this is pretty much Roman Reigns speaking his piece. Just same way how Paul Heyman felt afterwards at the WrestleMania and the decision he did to turn his back on both Punk and Roman. This is Roman Reigns' like point of view now. I felt like while Paul Heyman screwed up, then brings up about you know, it was crazy that you aligning yourself with Seth Rollins and all. Well, first likely align himself with CM Punk. You know, your friend, your best friend, or your so-called friend, what he said, and how, you know, y'all haven't spoken a very, very long time, and you decided to really go with him instead of me, where, you know, I brought you in, like, and you was pretty much like family, and you turned your back on us. And, you know, brings up that he talked about me ruining the bloodline. He said, I never ruined the bloodline. Like, for anything, for all intents and purposes, it was pretty much you. He said when it came down to it, like, would you call a faction and all that with us? That's your lane. Like, when we call the bloodline, like, this is family, everybody involved, and how much, like, you know, we look out for one another. And he was saying that through his rings with him being a champion and all that too. Like, he wasn't the main reason why, you know, Roman still had the title. He's talking about how it was because of the Usos, because of Solo, all that stuff, which was actually true when you really think about it. You know, they actually played a focal point on Roman holding that title for 4 years and all. Then talking about when he lost it and all, that you came out here and told me that I tucked my tail between my legs and, you know, went home and all that stuff. And then brings up, like, that was never the case. I went home to raise the future bloodline and, you know, pretty much countering back any trash talk that Paul Heyman tried to tell him and all. Then, as he's saying that, due to the duration of his promo, he just kept calling Paul Heyman a dumbass. That was the funniest thing ever. And, you know, you see Braun Breaker still trying to, like, get a hold, you know, to Roman, because he kept, like, ever since he kept calling Paul Heyman dumbass, you know, Braun Breaker was ready to snap. And he kept telling him, like, yo, you better keep this man under control. And then he brings up about that the reason why I'm still the tribal chief, and when that is because of the fans and them acknowledging me and stuff like that. And he brings up pretty much about Paul Heyman saying that, you know, we once consider you family, but that's done now. Like, I don't never want to hear you talk about that at all, whatever the case may be, and pretty much shut everything down. And at this point, Braun Breaker had enough, and he was saying that, yo, if he keeps coming to me right now, like, I'm going to put him down. So, as it's happening, and Roman says his shit, which was very, very good. Like, this man did not hold back whatsoever. I think it would have made it more better if Seth Rollins was there. Just my personal thought. I think it would have been a lot more better if Seth was there. But it was still good for Roman to speak his piece and how he personally felt. Then Braun Breaker, he steps up, asks for the mic, and was telling Roman Reigns, which sounds crazy, that, you know, for you, you've been irrelevant for 5 years and all that, that it's a new dog in here, like a new big dog here, and somebody that pretty much is, pretty much going to be the top guy and stuff. And, Roman's not having that shit. And he even tell Braun Breaker, like, yo, you aligning yourself with Paul Heyman, like, he going to pretty much do the same thing to you that he did to me and all that too. Take all the credit when you that guy and all that, and then pretty much leave you in the wasteland when it's time for somebody else, to come up. Like, it's just typical Paul Heyman. And as it's happening, and Braun Breaker, letting him know, like, yo, you step aside, like, you old news now. Like, I'll be that guy now that's running things. Like, this is my yard type shit. So Roman ain't buying that whatsoever. He like, okay, like, y'all taking this crap right now. And he telling me, like, yo, I can't, I didn't hear what you said. Like, your mic probably messed up. So take mine. Tosses the mic to him. And then Superman punch him. So after that, then he going on an attack with Bronson Reed in the corner. So as he attacking him and he turns around, he gets speared from Braun Breaker. And now he is stretched out in the middle of the ring. And, of course, they're going to drag his body over there for Bronson Reed to go up there to hit a tsunami. But as that's happening, in comes Jey Uso. So he goes in there. And, of course, he goes on attack on Bronson Reed. Him with a super kick and all. Then going to his Braun Breaker and stuff. So he's like getting up in hand. And then, of course, him and Roman lined up for the spear both of them out of the ring and stuff. And they end up standing tall. And at one point, it looks like we was going to get a singles match with Braun Breaker and Roman. I thought that was going to be the direction, and then probably have Jay versus Bronson Reed, because you can't not leave Jay out of SummerSlam. That would be stupid. But that was never the case, and I think we're all going to get a tag team match of Roman and Jay taking on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So, and look, that's going to be the direction, but this was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed that last segment. Very fantastic. Me talking about it don't do it justice. Y'all need to check it for yourself and watch it. It was pretty good. And overall, I definitely enjoyed the show for what it was. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Very solid and all. And now we do got some matches lined up leading up to SummerSlam 2 weeks from now. So there's that. But comment down below. Let me know what you think about Monday Night Raw. What did you enjoy? What was your favorite segment on there? And what would you rate it and all? Let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you get notified every time I drop content right here on this channel. I appreciate your love and support. Road to 200 subscribers. Continue to keep God first. Trust the process on anything that you do at life. Your time will come. And I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.